Good morning, everybody. Welcome back there. And so I'm going to Scott Selections here for Saturday, March 26th. Before getting today's play of the day, quick recap of what happened yesterday. We had a loss in the NBA with the Pistons, -2.5 at -110 on Caesars. Pistons closed at -4, and it didn't matter. And the story of the week so far has been the injury report. A couple of days ago, Giannis got ruled out, which basically killed our Milwaukee bet. And yesterday, Detroit was healthy entering the game. However, leading scorer Jeremy Grant only played 8 minutes yesterday, got injured in the first quarter, and did not return. And with Detroit missing its leading scorer, the Pistons only scored 97 points. So injuries definitely were the story there. And we picked up a loss. Look for a bounce-back winner here on Saturday. And for the play, they're going to look at a matchup in the NBA between two really awful basketball teams. It's going to be between the Rockets and the Trailblazers, taking place at around 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And for the play, they're going to take the Rockets -3.5 at -110 on BetMGM. Time recording of 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time. Couple reasons why I like Houston in the spot. First of all, these two teams kind of heading in opposite directions. The Trailblazers have lost 12 of their last 14 games by at least 5 points. On top of that, they've lost 11 of those 12 games by at least 9 points. They've really been getting just blown out pretty much every single game that they've played since the All-Star break. At the same point, Houston has been playing better lately. The Rockets have won 2 of their last 3 games by at least 18 points. Now, of course, in the general grand scheme of things, they're not very good. However, Houston still has a lot of actual healthy talent on the roster, while Portland is an injury-riddled G League team at this point. So I do believe that Houston, despite being pretty awful on the road this season and in general, should be favored by more, especially against Portland's whatever you want to call roster, because it's really not NBA quality. But either way, to go through the actual rosters, Houston is one of the only teams in the league that is actually fully healthy. And you can go through the injury reports of pretty much every team. And Houston, the only person mentioned is John Wall. And we know Wall has not played the entire season. They're basically paying him $40 million to not play for them. But Porter Jr.'s healthy, Green's healthy, Gordon's healthy, Tate's healthy, and Wood's healthy. So the starting five completely intact. Meanwhile, Portland is really just battling with injuries to basically everybody. To go through the projected starting lineup, you have Chris Dunn. Now, the next two names might play, might not play. They haven't played the last couple of games. Josh Hart at the shooting guard position. He did not play yesterday, and he's actually not played since March 20th, so he's missed the last 3 games. He's technically questionable. I'd be surprised if he played. You have Justice Winslow at the shooting guard position, at the small forward position, and he has missed 2 of the last 4 games. He did not play yesterday as well. And then you can go through the injury report for the really just the usual starters for this team. Of course, Lillard out for the year. Nurkic probably out for the year. Simons most likely out for the year. Eric Bledsoe also most likely out for the year. So Portland, once again, is basically a G League team. I mean, the roster is atrocious. And Houston, even though they're not good record-wise, at least they're healthy, and they do have some talent on the team. So Houston, I think, should end up faring pretty well in this spot. Now, it also is worth mentioning that these teams did play each other yesterday in Portland, and Houston beat them by 19 points. Houston ended up scoring 125 and really did whatever it wanted offensively and had a pretty balanced scoring performance here. Jalen Green had 23 points, led the way. Christian Wood, who you can argue is Houston's best player, really didn't do much. He had 10 points and 11 rebounds, only attempted 7 shots. So even with a lackluster performance by their star player, Houston still scored 125. Kenyon Martin Jr. had 16 points off the bench. You had Schroeder, who had 14 points off the bench. Christopher had 14 points off the bench. They just had a very solid all-around performance from the bench and the starting unit, while Portland was really just struggling to score. They shot 50% from the floor and yet only scored 106 points. And Houston, I'm aware that this team on the road is pretty awful and that Portland should fare a little bit better the second time playing Houston in as many nights. But 3.5 for a team that's constantly been blown out for the last couple of weeks is really just too low. And Houston, even though this team has nothing to play for, and you can argue that they might not be motivated, it's still a young roster. Silas is still trying to get the best of his guys, and I do believe that Houston should do enough in order to win this game by at least 6 points. Play that once again here for Saturday, March 26th, going to be on the Rockets -3.5 at -110 on BetMGM. Bye, everyone.